In today's tutorial about the Saab 9.3, I'm going to show you how to calibrate or reset the automatic climate control. I shall show you how to do it for both the early 03 to 06 models and for the later 07 on and common 9.5 system. I'll also describe to you why you might want to calibrate the system. So stay tuned, let me show you how. The information I'm going to give you today on how to recalibrate these two systems, I've pulled this information from the Saab WIS, that's Workshop Information System. The reason I pulled that information from WIS in the first instance was because my ACC seemed to be giving me some weird operations. I found I was having to turn the heat up much more than was usual. And when we get to the later system, a little further in the video, I think you'll probably understand why. Let's start with the early system. The early system was fitted to 93SS from 2003 model year at launch to 2006 model year. First thing to know, the early system, you cannot reset the system manually by pressing any of the buttons. I know that some people think you can, but I think they're getting confused between the early and the later systems. The system can be force reset using Tech 2, or it does an automatic reset. You would use the Tech 2 method if you've changed any of the stepper motors or the flaps or had the system apart in any way. For automatic reset, the system will automatically reset itself if the power has been disconnected from the module in any way, so battery removed, fuse blown, or the module removed from the car, for examples, and it will also automatically reset every 5 ignition cycles, provided that each ignition off period is at least 2 hours. It is feasible that depending on how you use the car, it could actually be quite a long time between each automatic calibration. If, for example, you were using the car as a taxi, was in use virtually 24 hours a day for periods, then it could go weeks without a calibration. If it's being used by an individual driver and you're going to work in it every day and it's getting parked up in the works car park during the day and perhaps on your drive overnight, then you would probably get an automatic recalibration every 3rd day. So now let's come on to the 07 model year on system, which is also common with the 9.5 model. So why might you want to recalibrate the system? If the battery has been disconnected, or if the HVAC module unit has lost power for any other reason, a blown fuse, or maybe you've removed this to get at something else, if you've changed any of the stepper motors in the system, or if you've altered the position of the air mix damper at all, under any of those circumstances you might want to recalibrate the system. The reason is that the motors that operate all the flaps and the mixers in the system are stepper motors, and the way the system knows where the flap is positioned or where the motor is by counting the number of steps from the end positions. In order to do that, it needs to know where the end positions are, and over time it can lose count, and it also loses its count memory if the power is interrupted. And of course, if you've changed any of the stepper motors, then that particular motor will have lost its count memory. Now with this later system, there is an automatic calibration. It calibrates itself every 40 ignition cycles, provided that there are at least 2 hours of the ignition being off between ignition cycles. That probably explains why I've been having some problems recently with my aircon, seemingly doing some weird things. And it seemed to have set itself differently, because I've had the battery disconnected several times recently, and of course each time the battery is disconnected it loses calibration, which I did not know at the time, and the count for 40 ignition cycles resets as well, so it was never reaching the automatic recalibration point. To calibrate this system manually, put your key in the ignition but leave it in the lock position initially. Press and hold both the auto and recirc buttons together, and whilst holding those buttons with your other hand, start the engine. Let the buttons go. If you've started up because you're going somewhere, then carry on. Otherwise, if you're only starting up to do the calibration procedure, then wait 1 minute while the system goes through its checks and then stop the engine. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button down by the title. Maybe consider buying me a cup of coffee, and I shall see you next time.